A political action committee, spending her time between her home state, I believe, in New Jersey, Washington, D.C. And other than the conversation we're going to have, I think we're probably on the same path as far as our political viewpoints, with the exception of course, her being a Philly sports fan. Other than that, Alex, it's great to have you on here this morning. Good morning to you.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Hey, tell me a little bit about America Rising and how you kind of got involved with this political action committee and some of the things that are important to you as to, where our country is, where it's headed.
Sure. So America Rising PAC is the Republican Party's leading opposition research organization. So we watch Democrats all day, so you don't have to. And that includes a nationwide team of trackers that are out there following Democratic candidates, catching their every move and everything that they're saying, sometimes when the cameras aren't rolling for the news media. And also a team of analysts back in our D.C. office who are poring over hours of video and transcripts and just working very hard to develop narratives about Democratic candidates. So that's what America Rising PAC does. It's an incredible organization. I got involved with it because, and the reason why answering your last two questions about why I sort of became involved, what I care about, I started out in youth politics. I was national chair of college Republicans, and, I really saw how my generation was being shaped by liberal policies, and particularly the liberal groupthink on college campuses. So we tried to change that, and we saw how in using some new technologies as digital advertising and other forms of media, we were able to influence our peers using some key opposition research from groups like America Rising. I think that there's a new and modernization of American politics, and I think our young people and groups like America Rising are right at the forefront of that.
Well, there's no question, and I would, say and point out probably, accurately that Democrats, the media, had a jump start on this digital age of research, and how they're able to get the narrative out to the masses through things like social media. And you, on the opposite side, from your college days now, working with America Rising PAC, in fact, you're trying to, catch up to the eight ball, so to speak, in that, the Republicans have found a way to kind of level the playing field and get out there and get their message heard through social media and the other digital platforms. Talk about how that has progressed since you kind of got into this game from your time as a college Republican and to where you are now.
Yeah, so America Rising PAC was started pretty much in response to the 2012 elections, where we just did not have a significant opposition research and rapid response arm that was constantly pushing out information about President Obama. There was a lot to attack him on in 2012. We just didn't have the infrastructure in place to fire back. And, so what America Rising did was form after the 2012 elections. We regrouped, and now we have a huge team that spans the whole country, and we're really looking at sort of newer technologies, ways to get out information very quickly and into the bloodstream, not just sort of the national narrative, but in local narratives as well, through rapid response and communication. So this has really been a process that sort of started. It grew out of the need in the marketplace on the Republican side for opposition research. And I think now we're really sort of progressing ahead of where maybe the Democrats might be in terms of their own efforts.
Well, I mean, there's so much meat and potatoes as to the things in the opposition research that you can find. So much information that rarely gets covered if you turn on any of the news networks or if you read any of the mainstream publications. And that's probably the biggest challenge, I would say, for your group is that, as you said, you have to find new, innovative ways to go around the mainstream. And I think there's a gap there and a willingness for the people to look for an alternative so they can get information, not only from one side, but to get the information that, you're not hearing about on the day-to-day through some of the national networks.
Well, I think what we really are committed to is this idea of narrative building. I think it used to be that maybe one gaffe might cost the campaign the whole election. Just saying one off-color remark, having one bad moment could really sort of turn the course of your campaign. I think now that we are living in a 24/7 news media cycle where it's just moving so much more rapidly, that's not really true anymore. That just one incident is going to define a campaign. So what groups like ours have to do is to build a narrative about a candidate. So a good example is our friend Claire McCaskill in Missouri. She obviously has taken a lot of policy positions throughout the last couple of years that are at odds of where her constituents are in Missouri, and at times she's had some sort of noteworthy flubs on the campaign trail. But really, for us at America Rising, it's about defining her as out of touch. So a good example of that is our tracker, who follows her meticulously around the state. Caught her exiting her private plane on a number of occasions. Well, it turns out that on this RV tour that she was supposedly doing of the state to visit the people, she was actually flying from stop to stop. So again, it's not that this one moment is going to cost her the campaign. It's more that it just is it's another sort of notch in the belt in terms of her being out of touch with Missourians. And so, we're going to use that and other sort of statements, other sort of facts about her life and her career to punctuate that point.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to kind of get the inner workings of how all of this works, how this kind of roots itself out within, your organization and all the people behind the scenes that do some of this stuff to shine a light on, the swamp and some of these creepy politicians that we got out there that say one thing, do another, and then, promise the world to everybody else. Alex Wilkes with America Rising Political Action Committee with us this morning. Alex, we got about 60 seconds to go. You're a young woman. How do you see this thing shaken out since, of course, Republicans, young women and suburban women in particular, don't vote for women from what we've been told for the last, don't vote for Republicans, I should say, for the last, forever. We're out of touch, Republicans, with young women, suburban women.
This is a demographic challenge that has been there for the Republican Party for many cycles. This is a gap that we need to close, and not something that we can just sort of keep taking for granted, even if we win without it, because it's eventually going to catch up to us, and it could very well catch up to us this midterm election. I think, though, that women care more just about a certain set of issues than they care about all of the issues. And for the Republican Party, which is focusing on the economy, the strong economy, and focus that's benefiting women more so, now than ever, and also, strong security and borders. Those are things that also American women care very much about. So making sure that we keep the focus on those issues, particularly in this midterm election, I think will be critical.
Alex Wilkes with America Rising Political Action Committee. Alex, it was a pleasure. Enjoy the next circus here over the next 72 hours, and we look forward to seeing how all this plays out. We'll hopefully get you back on soon.
Likewise, anytime.
Alex Wilkes with America Rising Political Action Committee. Great.